I was asked to share a little bit about the background of my involvement
Okay,
with
start over.
part. I thought I might tell a little bit about how I happened to become involved with South Texas Bible Institute, which eventually became Gulf Coast Bible College. In period 1945 to 1950, we were pastoring in Ruston, Louisiana. In 1947, Brother Galkey was invited to be an evangelist for a revival at the Ruston Church by Frelson Smith. And this was my first time in my life to become acquainted with Brother Galkey, and we had some interesting times together there. He actually came to Ruston immediately after the Texas City disaster and shortly after becoming pastor at Houston First Church. Then later, when I left the pastorate in Ruston, I felt a strong desire to find a church where I could go to graduate school. I don't know exactly why at that particular time, or I did not understand why at that particular time, that I had such a strong urge. I do remember saying that at the time that I left Ruston, that if I ever returned to the South again, I would return as a teacher. I don't know exactly how I happened to think of that, but nevertheless, that was an expression that I remember making. While I was pastoring in Marion, South Dakota, and attending North American Baptist Seminary, Brother Galkey was invited to again hold a revival for us. During that period, he visited the seminary and talked to me a little bit about the efforts of the Midwest Ministerial Assembly establishing a college, a Bible college somewhere in the Midwest. At that time, the thought was that it would be established at Oklahoma City. After spending a week with me and the congregation there at Marion, he asked me the question, would you be interested in teaching in a Bible college? And he mentioned the fact that while there was not any existing at that time in 1952, that he had hoped that in the near future such a school would be established. We know, of course, that he did begin a school known as South Texas Bible Institute in Houston in connection with Houston First Church of God in the fall of 1953. And then in June of 1954, he called me long distance and asked if I would be willing to come to Houston and to teach in this young school. I felt at that particular time I only lacked some 2 hours of graduate work, and my thesis for my degree, which was then Bachelor of Divinity degree, now would be called Master Divinity degree. And that summer I was able to complete the 2 hours of work, and after I returned to Houston, I was able in the first year there to complete my thesis and eventually to earn my degree in the 105th class of North American Baptist Seminary. I might say that North American Baptist Seminary was at one time the German department of Rochester Colgate up in Colgate, New York, or Rochester, New York, pardon me. And this began our association together in Houston. When I arrived in Houston with my family, Brother Galkey, I served with Brother Galkey as associate pastor and served in that capacity at various times during the time he was pastor, and also was in charge of the altar work from 1954 until his retirement as pastor of the church in 1968. This began a long association, and I retired as dean of the college in 1981 and as a full-time professor in 1982, but continued to work with the correspondence division and also occasionally to teach classes until the college moved to Oklahoma City in 1985. The South Texas Bible Institute continued until the summer of 1955, and then it became Gulf Coast Bible College in the fall of 1955, and I was asked to be dean at that particular time. Harold Erickson had served as dean of South Texas Bible Institute. When I went to Houston, Miss Kirks came from Hastings, Nebraska, as did Pat Meadows, and joined. Pat came as a student, and Miss Kirks began work as a librarian and teacher, and of course has continued even to this particular time at what is now Mid-America. But this began a long association together, and we had many interesting years together at Gulf Coast, working with Brother Galkey and following something of the vision that he had, and certainly we felt a call to this institution and something that the Lord wanted us to do. And perhaps that is enough to say at this particular time. If you're interested in some of the particulars of history involving my work and Brother Galkey's and some of the other people who have been with the college for a long time, you might examine issues of the tidings. I remember in 1954 there was an issue of the tidings that brought out the fact that we were arriving at the college and joining the staff. And then also there is some history that can be traced following the yearbooks. The 1966 issue of the college annual did happen to be dedicated to my work with the college. This will give you a little areas in which you might want to do some research in regard to my involvement with Gulf Coast Bible College.